A recent report shows that cruise lines are not profitable unless you spend money on board. Well, for one man, I think that he just may be keeping them in business. Hey everybody, what's up? My name is Jordan and this is JJ Cruise. Thank you so much for coming into the video today. Well, there's a lot of interesting information coming out about the profitability of cruises, the sustainability of cruises, and if cruises will be around a long time. We recently checked out a recent article, which I will link in the description below, talking about the money that people spend on board and the money that the cruise lines need people to spend on board for them to stay in business and keep going. That led us down a rabbit trail of some research and some looking up interesting information about what people actually spend on board, which ultimately led us to finding a guy that says he spent $1 million during his 7-night cruise. Before we get into all of the details of this story today, I do just want to invite you to subscribe to the channel. We here at JJ Cruise cover all things cruising on our channel. We're about to go on a big summer adventure. If you love cruises as much as we do, please hit that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the thumbs up. A recent article was put out by Sherwood, and it was an article that looked at the breakdown of Carnival Corporation brands, how much money they're making, and how much money they are spending on passengers when they come on board a 7-night cruise. This was one of the most fascinating articles for Jared and I. Jared actually spent a good amount of time breaking it down and talking it kind of through with me because I'm not necessarily a math guy or a numbers person, but once we kind of discussed this, I found it fascinating too. On average, Carnival spends a little under $1,600 per person in operating costs on a 7-night cruise. Now, the operating costs include everything that you can possibly think of. Your food, the ship, things like sheets, towels that get purchased, paychecks for the crew, the entertainment, the tech for the shows. Everything that you can think of is kind of built into that number. In contrast, on average, people only pay about $1,125 per person to come on board a 7-night cruise. Well, there's a pretty big margin of error there if people are not spending money on board. You see, Carnival actually plans and budgets on people spending about $600 on board. And after someone comes on board, pays their cruise fare, their taxes, their port fees, and spends that additional $600, there's a profit margin of about 9% that Carnival Corporation is making off of a passenger coming on a ship. What's interesting is pre-pandemic, Carnival was making about 15 to 16% in profit per person. So that has dropped about 6 or 7% since COVID. Celebrity Cruises recently tried to kind of pull a stunt on their solo travelers by charging them more than double the cost of a double occupancy cabin on certain sailings. We think that this was maybe a test that was put out by the new president, but overall, it really reflected that Celebrity is also banking heavily on people coming on board and spending money on things like specialty dining, the spa, the casino, shopping, you name it. People can spend money on board and people can spend quite a bit of money. After reading this article, we went online and looked at cruise forums to try and figure out what people were actually spending or what people were expecting to spend per day, per person on a cruise. I will say on average from what we saw, it looks like the most common budget that people have is about $100 per person per day. Now, whether this means they're going to get massages at the spa, they're purchasing jewelry at Effie or Diamonds International, or maybe that's their casino budget and they're taking that cash directly into the casino to spend their money in there. Then we came upon one post that made us raise an eyebrow. It was a person on a cruise forum that stated on their cruise they spent $1,600,000 over the course of 7 nights. It sparked quite the discussion online because a lot of people were accusing this person of lying, saying that's not even possible. And they clapped back saying, no, it is possible. I spent 6 figures in the casino. I spent a lot of money on art with Park West Art Gallery, and combined, I spent just over $1 million in 7 days. Now, to me, that kind of spending isn't even in the realm of my imagination because we always try to spend as little money as possible while on a cruise. We actually talked about 3 cruises that we took in April and our total spend a little bit ago. So if you want to go back in the channel and find that video, we're very transparent about what we spend on cruises. But to spend $1 million in 7 nights is one of the biggest budgets I think that I have ever heard of. We went back and forth on whether this could be true or not. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know if it is true, but I do know that I have watched people spend 6 figures on Park West, and I have seen people spend 6 figures in the casinos on board. So if he really did buy a couple of paintings that were $200,000 a piece, and he ran through a massive bankroll in a casino, which is possible in 7 nights, now there's a good chance that he could have spent over $1 million on his cruise. That being said, I find it fascinating that the cruise lines operate with a budget planning on you spending more than $600 on board per person during a 1-week cruise. This video was partially meant to be informational, but then also we want to know from you at home. How much money do you typically spend on a cruise? What do you see that final bill at the end of the week being? Is the $100 per person per day pretty accurate? Is that pretty common? Or do you spend way less or way more? Obviously, the cruise lines seem to be going strong, so that tells us that people are getting on board and spending plenty of money. I know on certain casino ships, there is a lot of people in there spending money. Let us know in the comments below, how much money do you spend during a 7-night cruise? Do you go in with a budget, or is it kind of like it's your vacation? So credit cards on file, and I'm gonna spend the money that I wanna spend. Also, do you think this person was lying about spending $1 million in a week? I'm still sus about the whole entire situation because it seems like it would be hard to do on one hand, but on the other hand, there's always opportunity to spend money on those ships. Well, thank you so much for watching, and thank you very much for sharing your thoughts in the comments below today. We always appreciate hearing from you. On your way out, if you could hit the subscribe button and the like button, that would be appreciated. Again, my name is Jordan. This is JJ Cruise, and until next time, see ya.